So we have a Wales versus England game that we're just waiting on. It's going to be Dragon versus Scorpion. It should be starting here soon. Um, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at these deck lists real quick. Let's take a look at Dragon first here. So with Dragon, it looks like we've got a Crane dueling deck for the splash, and it looks like it's a typical monk. Let's see, this is New Mitsu. Pillow Book is the interesting inclusion here. A lot of the times in place of Pillow Book, we see a single formal invitation. So Pillow Book is the difference there. We see two Seal, three Hawk Tattoos, three Void Fists. So pretty standard monk deck there. Not seeing any surprises really in the Dynasty deck. A one-of Cycle of Rebirth, we don't always see that. But that's useful for helping you find a card that you do need at the time, or getting rid of one you just don't want your opponent to have. So that should be fairly useful. Hey, welcome out there in chat. If you can hear me, just go ahead and give me a sign. Let me know that you're out there and listening while we take a look at this Scorpion deck. And it does look like we are still just waiting for them to get in this game. So we've got a little bit of time to go over the deck. So it looks like this is a Scorpion deck with Display of Power, Earth Becomes Sky. So it looks like it's going to be a Dishonor deck. We've got the three backhanded complement out of City of the Open Hand. So going to be a Dishonor deck versus a Tower Dragon deck that's going to want to do a lot of dueling. So we'll see how this goes. But how can we know it's a Scorpion deck? Because it's got red cards. That's how. All right, so let's see here. All right, and apparently this is the decider game. So between Wales and England. So this match, I guess they are currently tied 3-3 in the World Cup. Let me take a look. Yeah, it looks like there's a few games unreported because I currently show them at 2-2. But this is the final one. So I guess of the two games not reported, Wales won one and England won one. So this is the final matchup. Yeah, so it's a Dueling Monks deck specifically, Rega. We've seen it do pretty well. There is currently a tournament being run, the LLO or London Legion Online, I think is something what it's called. And a few weeks ago, one of the Greek players brought this Dragon Monk deck with Crane Splash to do a bunch of dueling with Duelist Training and Return the Offense and Policy Debate, and uses Proving Ground, which is whenever you win a duel, draw a card to draw a bunch of cards. I don't know that it's as toxic as some of the other decks that are out there. It's definitely pretty powerful. Really, the thing that makes it bad is Policy Debate, and that's why Policy Debate is restricted. But Policy Debate has become a lot worse. So let's see here. For our flops, we see two Bayushi Liars, a Vice Proprietor, and a Blackmail Artist for Scorpion. We see a Katsuki Investigator, a Doom Shigenja, Yokuni, and a Favorable Ground for Dragon. So Investigator gets purchased with two. This Bayushi Liar comes out with one fate thanks to Toshi Rambo, and then we see the Vice Proprietor bought with one, and the second Bayushi Liar bought with none. So lots of political skill on the board. This Vice Proprietor going to be able to dishonor itself to bow this Investigator in whatever conflict the Investigator goes into with this Vice Proprietor. Yeah, the fact that their tower will never die. I still think that the Dragon Tower is more vulnerable to never or to dying than the Lion Tower, just because of Called to War, and then they can keep recurring it with the Blade of 10K battles. Whereas Dragon has to be able to play 5 cards in a conflict to be able to keep their tower around forever, and you just start choking them out on honor. Mitsu is nice that it can recover some of that honor by spending uh, its ability on the air ring, but I don't know. Tower is still a problem for sure, and no matter what faction it's in. And it looks like we're just seeing passes through all of the conflict opportunities here. So Dragons passed both of theirs, and Scorpion has passed there first. So let's see if they decide to go all in on their second conflict. Yeah, it looks like they're going military with this vice proprietor. At Restoration of Balance. So this investigator, not really going to get much use here because it's a military conflict. Um, was thinking about defending there, or I guess did defend and then use favorable ground to go home, make it easier to break the Restoration of Balance. And so we do see Dragon play a katana on this vice proprietor, so that this Restoration of Balance will break. This will take 5 cards from Scorpion. Scorpion will, of course, get 1 card at the end of turn when the Spyuchi Liar leaves, and then next turn when the next Liar leaves, they'll get another card. So losing 5 here, not a huge deal, but definitely sets them back a little bit. All right, looks like Scorpion considering maybe assassinating their own character to get rid of this to stop the break, or maybe doing a calling in favors to move this fine katana to one of these liars. And they do indeed assassinate this vice proprietor. So I still think that's a win for Dragon, because that vice proprietor being able to dishonor itself and bow one of your characters, very useful ability, and definitely part of the reason why Dragon didn't attack this round, is because their character was just going to get bowed out. So Dragon does get the favor because of the 2 glory on this investigator. So that's going to be nice. It stops Censure uh, from being active in the Scorpion deck. It is true. Legends never die, Rega. All right, so Yokuni and Doomshigenja are both discarded from Dragon, and Blackmail Artist discarded for Scorpion. On the Scorpion flop, we see a Fawning Diplomat, an Illusionist, an Alibi Artist, and a Blackmail Artist. On the Dragon side, we get a Swordsmith, a Keeper Initiate, a Doom Shigenja, and a Tranquil Philosopher. So that Tranquil Philosopher is going to be able to do a lot of work in this matchup to help prevent dishonor. Being able to gain 1 honor a turn with this Philosopher is just definitely going to slow down this dishonor matchup. With the ruling change on how then works, you don't even need Fate on Rings to be able to gain that honor with the Tranquil Philosopher. So that's going to be fairly effective in combating this. So we do see the Philosopher bot with 2. as well as the Doom Shigenja bot. And we see the Soshi Illusionist bot with one, or did that come off of Toshi Rambo? That came off of Toshi Rambo, so that one there, and then the Alibi Artist bot with two. So Scorpion, if they can get their honor down to 6 or lower, they'll be able to use this Alibi Artist to get extra cards. They are currently at 9 with the activation of their Stronghold, bringing Dragon down to 9 as well. So Assassination puts them in range of being able to use this Alibi Artist, and that Doom Shigenja, perfect target for Assassination. Yeah, all the artists showing up, for sure. All right, so all the rings currently have Fate on them, and Scorpion is first player, so they'll get their pick of ring that they want to go for and get a Fate off of it. So both players still bidding 5, as expected. So Scorpion currently up 1 card over Dragon right now. All right, and we see Scorpion pass their first conflict opportunity, giving the initiative to Dragon here. So it looks like Dragon's going to attack in with this Doom Shigenja. And we didn't see a use of the Tranquil Philosopher to maybe get an extra Fate off of this ring that they were going for. So that's definitely one of the uses for it, is just to grab an extra Fate. But we see a military water attack here at Toshi Rambo. So only the Illusionist can defend this on the Scorpion side. So we'll see if Scorpion decides to defend at all, or if we'll see just an Assassination, take out this Doom Shigenja. So, and if you're turning in watching the World Cup, we promise enlightenment-free games, so don't have to worry about enlightenment right now, at least until the World Cup cut, which there's already discussions about preventing that from happening. So we see Way of the Scorpion come out on this Doom Shigenja, and Cloud the Mind on Alibi Artist. So that way, if Doom Shigenja does get assassinated, they were still able to get the Cloud the Mind out first, being the only Shigenja on the dragon side of the board. And so if that assassination happens, Alibi Artist won't be able to be triggered now. If you do want to see one of the Enlightenment games that are very boring and grindy and uninteractive, you are almost guaranteed to see at least one happen in the LLO tournament today. So if you want to see how bad those decks are, I believe Steelfur is streaming those games today. Praise the fortunes. I think I've seen 3 over the weekend, and I never want to watch it again. Yeah, I understand that, Caturnus, or Canturnus. I've only seen part of one and a screenshot of another, and I went, "This is the dumbest thing ever." So the screenshot that I saw had like 7 fate on all of the rings, and it's just like, okay, no one wants to play the game. How does this even happen? So definitely some problem cards out there that are fueling these DAGs. There was a huge discussion about display of power this morning in the Discord. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Shane, yours was the game that I saw. And I was just like, wow, this is terrible. Um, the way you get good at L5R is making sure no one can play L5R. Yeah. So, and that's what makes it terrible, is you just have no choices. And so I do think display of power is definitely a big issue there, as far as that goes. So we do see the Doom Shigenja did get assassinated. So our honor totals are starting to drop here fairly quickly. Um, So Scorpion already down to 6, Dragon down to 8. Yeah, without secluded, it wouldn't work. I agree. Yeah, it's definitely like a prison deck, Rega. So you can't do anything, and they just eventually um, use display of power and what is it? Know the world and wholeness of the world to prevent rings from going back and claim extra rings, and then they use the shrine to act like they have the other rings in their pool, and then they play Enlightenment, which resolves all the rings in your pool, and if you have all 5, you win. So it's really dumb, completely interactive. Display of power definitely turns it on, and without shrine, it wouldn't work. And although we did see a bunch of talk about display of power, I do still think display of power should be restricted just because it also enables dishonor. But I think shrine is really the problem in the enlightenment deck, because just like you said, Shane, without secluded, they wouldn't be able to do it. Yeah. So I think Dragon could do an Enlightenment deck right now with Shiro Kitsuki, but that Stronghold's not great. It relies on your opponent to play the cards that you name in order for you to claim all the rings. And I think they're the only clan that really could get all 5 rings in a turn right now. Although it is possible for all 5 rings to be claimed because there are so many ways to get additional conflicts right now. But anyway, let's stop talking about Enlightenment and start talking about this game. So we see this Goblin Sneak attack into Sacred Sanctuary, which is not on the Stronghold, which is a bit unusual. We almost always see that on the Stronghold because it's a great way to defend. Um, and so we see Way of the Scorpion used to try and dishonor the Tranquil Philosopher, but Defend Your Honor stops that. And then this Goblin Sneak gets disguised into Miyako, who then dishonors this Tranquil Philosopher. So this is going to break Sacred Sanctuary unless Dragon can do something about it. So we see Hurricane Punch to give +2 military and draw a card. Let's see if we can see maybe another Hurricane Punch and perhaps a Void Fist to send this Miyako home. Oh yeah. Lion theoretically could as well, especially their new um, champion sword, whatever it is. That gives them an extra military conflict. So I guess they're another clan that could. And with all the ready and move that they can put into their deck, and their towers being able to win conflicts pretty easily on their own. Yeah, you're right, Canturus. They could get all 5 rings as well. The issue that I think they would have is having the fate to be able to play Enlightenment as well as claiming all the 5 rings. Because the thing with Phoenix and Dragon is they don't have to play cards to claim those rings. With Shiro Kitsuki, your opponent needs to play cards that you name, and then you gain the fate off of those rings already. But I mean, I think once Dragon is set up, they could do it. Or not once Lion is set up with their tower, they could do it for sure. So we do see Void Fist to send this Miyako home, as well as a Way of the Dragon. So this Philosopher going to be able to gain 2 honor back this turn. We see Centipede Tattoo come down on this Tranquil as well. So I'm thinking we're going to see High House of Light because that's the 5th card played. And Centipede Tattoo not doing anything in this conflict right now because Tranquil is winning. So just for the High House of Light trigger. We see the Fate come off the Earth Ring. And so I imagine what we will then see is Tranquil Philosopher move some Fate around, possibly ending up with 2 Fate on the ring that Dragon wants to attack, and then this Investigator attacks politically to get that 2 Fate. I am quite surprised, again, by the Sacred Sanctuary not being on the Stronghold. I don't know if Dragon was just planning on it not getting to the Stronghold and finding it more useful in the row, um, or if they have some other unknown plan to me of why this is in their row instead of on their Stronghold. So I'm guessing Revels is going to be what's on their Stronghold instead of Sacred Sanctuary. But because this Dragon deck likes to have 5-cost characters, Revels is probably going to be turned off for most of this game. Because the 5-cost character in the Scorpion deck is going to be Shoju. Yeah, Scorp can break when needed, so that might have been a costly mistake. Yeah, it's definitely possible, Yogo, or Denzo. Uh, but we do see um, that Dragon did win that Void Ring, and they get a Keeper Initiate in play because of it. And then we see the 2 Fate moved to the Water Ring, and then these Investigator attack Political Water at Toshi Rambo. So it looks like we're going to see an all-in defense here from Scorpion. They've got no conflicts left, so might as well defend this, prevent the break. Dragon's going to be able to use Investigator to pick the best card out of Scorpion hand and discard it. And with this being the last conflict, I don't know why you don't at least send this Tranquil Philosopher in. With the Centipede Tattoo, even if you do lose, going to still be standing at the end of the conflict. And getting that, or I guess it's only 1 strength right now. So that 1 strength may make all the difference. Might have been able to win there. But we see Court Games used to dishonor this Investigator. Yeah, Dragon does do duels and can accidentally turn on Swim. But if you're not planning any duels, or you don't need any duels there, you don't need to worry about Swim right now. Plus, you use Investigator first to see if they have Swim. And then if they don't, then you can duel safely. And if they do have one, you can discard it with Investigator and then duel safely. And if they have both of them, I believe... Oh, no, there's only one I Can Swim in the deck. So you can hit it with Investigator before you do any duels. And so if Scorpion had any duels and initiated a duel, again, you can just hit it with Investigator before I Can Swim. So I don't think there was any need to fear I Can Swim here with the Investigator going in. I can see it being a problem if you only had 1 Fate and weren't getting any Fate off of this Water Ring. Because then maybe a Goblin Sneak comes in, takes your last Fate, and then you can't use Investigator. But given that Dragon had 4 Fate going into this, I don't think there's any need to worry about Swim. So we do see Investigator used in Assassination, Backhanded Compliment, Calling in Favors, Censure, Display of Power, Goblin Sneak, and Kiriko. And we see Kiriko is discarded there, which stops the Investigator from being bowed. And we do see a Goblin Sneak that can steal a Fate. These 2 Display of Powers definitely going to be pretty large for Scorpion going forward. And I think that's the 3rd assassination. We've seen 2 assassinations already from Scorpion, right? Yeah. So Scorpion sees all three of their assassinations in their top 15 cards. Only one of their backhanded compliments and two of their display of powers. So Scorpion definitely seeing a lot of their really powerful cards early on. So we do see court games to honor this investigator as well. And now we're seeing a policy debate versus this alibi artist. And so with 3-2 here, we'll see if anyone wants to spend honor, and both players just bid one. So we're going to see another card discarded here. Dragon's still going to keep favor, so the center's not going to be a huge deal right now. So maybe one of these display of powers gets discarded here. Yeah, and that is what we see. We do see one of the display of powers be discarded. All right, and we do see Scorpion win that political conflict, claiming the water ring. So Glory's currently 5-2, so Dragon's going to retain the favor. Both players ending this turn with 3 fate, 6 cards for Dragon, 7 cards for Scorpion. So Scorpion up 1 card thanks to this liar leaving play. So Dragon first player, we see another investigator and a Yokuni on the flop, as well as a proving ground and a favorable ground. So that proving ground comes out at a great time with Yokuni as well. Yokuni is going to be able to win several duels here, proving ground, helping draw some cards. So that can help make up for this single card deficit that Dragon has right now. Yokuni can also copy this Philosopher to move fate around and gain some extra honor there that way. On the Scorpion side, we see a Master Whisperer, a Venerable Fortunist, and an Ibuki, as well as an Imperial Storehouse. So this Master Whisperer going to be good for Scorpion. They can filter out cards that they don't need and look for ones that they do. So this center, which is currently off right now, we can see maybe that get discarded to the Master Whisperer. Scorpion doesn't have a lot of cards, though, in hand right now that they may want to discard. Perhaps the Assassination as well. But we'll see if they go there. We see the Investigator purchased instead of Yokuni. So again, Investigator going to be good at taking cards out of the hand of the Scorpion player. We see Venerable Fortunist bought with 2. And then City of the Open Hand used to even the honor totals again. So this Fortunist possibly going to be able to gain some extra fate for the Scorpion player if they claim the Earth Ring. And we know they have Display of Power in hand. So if Dragon attacks the Earth Ring, they can just display a power where gaining the Earth Ring, and then they can return it with the Venerable Fortunist, giving them the fate back that they spent on Display of Power, and then attack the Earth Ring again. Yeah, Dragon can get rid of this Display of Power with the Investigators for sure. But Investigator is still max 1 per conflict. So even with 2 Investigators, you can still only do it once. So we see bids of 1-4. So Scorpion dropping their bid down to 1. Dragon still with this Tranquil Philosopher being able to gain 2 honor a turn right now. Probably doesn't care that they just lost the 3 honor. They'll be able to recover some of that. And if they can claim an air ring as well, that's another way they can do it here. So we do see a political attack here on the fire ring going to gain. Oh, no, looks like they switched to air ring. Going to gain a fate from this air ring here. Who is Nostred for the UK? Nostred is England. So yeah, we do see political air at Toshi Rambo. Oh yeah, I don't know players' first names. I just know their names on Jigoku and Discord. So it's possible that someone in the chat knows who Nostred is. So, but yeah, everyone registers with their Discord name so that they can easily be found on Discord since that's where the tournament is. All right, so it looks like we're waiting to see if Scorpion is going to defend here, and it looks like they do decide to defend with this illusionist and the alibi artist. And we see Scorpion just pass immediately here. So the investigator going to spend a fate to the water ring to look at the hand of the Scorpion player. So we see it looks like another Kiriko and Suffer the Consequences are the two new cards that we don't know from last turn. So let's see here what Dragon decides to take here. They might take the Kiriko again so that this investigator doesn't get bowed. And then Suffer the Consequences. I believe that is the one that gives Scorpion an extra political conflict. Yeah, sacrifice a bowed, friendly Bushi, courtier, or Shugenja character, or you may declare an additional political conflict this phase. Max one per phase. And again, it does say during the conflict phase to be able to play that, which I skipped over in reading. So we see a return the offense here. Investigator versus the alibi artist. Again, both players bid one. And so we do see that Kiriko was what was chosen to be discarded, so this investigator doesn't get bowed. So investigator going to stay standing at the end of this conflict. And also draws a card off of Proving Ground for that. Does Dragon want to try and win this conflict just by moving this Keeper Initiate in? Yeah, they do. Move the Keeper Initiate in. Brings it 5-5, so they're now winning this conflict. And will be able to claim the Air Ring, gaining 2 fate or 2 honor. If they do, let's see if Scorpion wants to do anything to try and stop this. They can assassinate, of course, this Keeper Initiate. Uh, which it looks like they're discarding the Illusionist. And I guess they're planning to disguise over this alibi artist now with Ibuki to get unopposed and claim the air ring. So all three assassinations used by Scorpion, two assassinations used on their own characters. So quite the interesting uses of assassination. But I definitely see those lines of play. So this has definitely been an interesting line of play here. Let's see what Dragon decides to do. We see a policy debate come down on this alibi artist versus the investigator. So this is going to be used to discard the policy debate. But we see a bit of 3-1 here, which I think Dragon may still be okay with. Um, so we see in Dragon's hand, Cloud the Mind, 2 Defend Your Honors, Duelist Training, 2 Return the Offense, and 2 Void Fists. So lots of doubles in the hand for the Dragon player. So now display of power, not as big of a deal. So Scorpion down to 6 honor right here. And we're just waiting to see what Scorpion decides to discard from the hand. So with lots of duplicates, uh, choices are limited, and we do see Void Fist is what is chosen. And then we do see disguised Ibuki over this alibi artist at home. Um, so Scorpion going to display of power to claim this um, air ring, which after that duel for policy debate, you already got 2 honor from Dragon, so you'll lose 1 here with this display of power. So not terrible. And Scorpion now on no fate. And Toshi Rambo now broken. So this investigator stays standing thanks to return the offense, and we know that there's two more in hand. So possibly able to keep some of these other characters standing through this Scorpion attack. Let's see if Tranquil Philosopher gets used to move some fate around on these rings. Maybe move 1 fate off the fire ring to the void ring so that if Scorpion does attack, they only get 1 fate instead of 2. But it looks like we're not going to see use of Philosopher yet. So Scorpion going to be able to attack in, and it looks like they are considering this fire ring here for the 2 fate. Being able to dishonor one of these investigators will also be useful, reducing their stats. Um, so deciding between the Earth Ring and the Fire Ring, because if they do claim the Earth Ring, they can return it with the Fortunist for an additional 2 fate. So that one would net them 3 fate in the end if they do claim it. But it looks like they are going to decide on this Fire Ring military at Restoration of Balance, which if that breaks right now, only costs them 1 card. So now's a good time for Scorpion to break that, and they can use this storehouse afterwards to draw another card. So we see Miyako and Ibuki come in 7 military might. Right now, Dragon only representing 3 military on board. So even if they defend all in, they won't be able to uh, stop this. And knowing what's in their hand, they have no military pumps right now. So they won't be able to pump up military and stop this from breaking either. Yeah, Earth, the way to go, start rebuilding your hand equity. So they may be hoping to do that on the return. So we do see Investigator defend here. So just to prevent the unopposed. So we see return the offense used to keep this investigator standing, but more likely just to draw a card with the proving ground. So now we don't know what that card is, and if that will help with a potential military break on their attack, because we could send this Tranquil Philosopher in on a military attack. At the very least, just to take the fate off of the rings. So we see calling in favors used to dishonor Miyako and steal this Way of the Dragon off of the Philosopher. So Philosopher only going to be able to gain 1 honor now. And now no cards get discarded to Restoration of Balance. So we do see Tranquil Philosopher go ahead and move the fate to the Earth Ring. Which I don't know if I like moving it to the Earth Ring, because if you do attack in um, military on this Earth Ring, the Venerable Fortunist defends, and unless you got a card that's going to pump you up over this Fortunist, um, Scorpion just wins that Earth Ring, gains a fate from Keeper of Earth, and then returns it with the Fortunist for an additional 2 fate. So we do see the Investigator with 2 fate gets dishonored with this Fire Ring. So this Tranquil Philosopher currently a potato with 0 in both stats thanks to being dishonored. And so we see Earth military into effective deception. So we'll see if Scorpion decides to defend here, to claim this Earth Ring, gain a fate off of Keeper of Earth, and then return it with the Fortunist, or if they're just going to hope that Dragon didn't draw a military pump and let this go and leave the Earth Ring in, and then attack with Earth themselves. Being at effective deception, if the military pump is a non-attachment, effective deception could have canceled it as well. So definitely a possible line of play for Scorpion there. But they do decide to defend, claim the Earth Ring on defense for an extra fate, and then Fortunist will be able to return it for an additional 2 fate here. But this Philosopher does stay standing thanks to Centipede Tattoo. So Dragon going to maintain favor, keeping Censure offline for Scorpion, what seems to be all game so far. Scorpion goes ahead and uses their Imperial Storehouse, draw a card. All right. And so Scorpion down to 5 honor as that Miyako leaves play. Both an Investigator and the Keeper Initiate leave play for Dragon. I imagine that Dragon will keep this Yokuni and Proving Ground, but they do decide to get rid of Yokuni. I guess they're looking for Mitsu for sure, which they do not find. We see Shoju show up for Scorpion, as well as another alibi artist and a disciple of Shinsei in an Imperial Storehouse. We see an Imperial Storehouse show up for Dragon, as well as a disciple of Shinsei and Gaijutsu. And so we see Gaijutsu purchased with 3. No Shugenja for Dragon to be able to play their Cloud the Mind on this alibi artist. So we see alibi artist purchased with 1, and then disciple of Shinsei purchased. Alibi artist goes ahead and gets used to go and find a card. Shoju might turn it around for Scorp, but it doesn't look like they've purchased it. They still have time though, because they are still in the dynasty phase. They can still use this storehouse and buy Shoju here, which definitely puts a clock on the game. So there's still plenty of time left on these clocks, so I don't think it will come down to that. Especially since we do see the Shoju just get purchased with 2 fate. So Shoju putting a clock on this game, as both players are going to lose 1 honor. At the start of the conflict phase, Dragon definitely going to want a Shugenja to be able to cloud the Shoju when they can. So both players down to 5 honor, and they draw 2 cards here thanks to Shoju. And the Scorpion board looking pretty good for them. The Dragon board still going to be able to gain 1 honor a turn with this Philosopher, which I guess does counteract Shoju. And we see Way of the Dragon played on the Philosopher, so we're going to be able to gain 2 fate, or 2 honor a turn, by moving around some fate on these rings. All right, so we do see Tranquil Philosopher used to go ahead and move Fate to the Water Ring to gain an honor. And then they just gain an honor using Tranquil Philosopher without moving any Fate on these rings. So Scorpion goes ahead and passes their first conflict. And so it looks like we're going to see a military water attack here, just to claim this 2 Fate off this water ring into effective deception with this Tranquil Philosopher. So if Scorpion defends this at all, because this Tranquil Philosopher only has one military skill right now, um, Philosopher will stay standing at the end of this conflict, thanks to the Centipede tattoo. Throw Disciple and Ibuki at Sacred Sanctuary. Yeah, you could. I mean, you could send Shoju at Sacred Sanctuary, and he could break it himself. Um, we see Ibuki and Disciple defend this attack at effective deception. So we see a katana come down on this Tranquil Philosopher. So maybe signaling the intent for Dragon to actually try and win this conflict. So we could see another katana come down and then a Void Fist to send Ibuki home. But of course, effective deception can cancel that Void Fist. So we do see another katana come down on this Tranquil Philosopher. Yeah, you got to have two because of effective deception. We see duelist training come down, and that actually works there because Way of the Dragon will allow to trigger that twice. So we see duelist training used to duel the disciple. Play 5 cards to keep the philosopher in play. Yeah, we could see that as well. So draws a card with Proving Ground, and this disciple is bound. I mean, really, Dragon would love a way right now to get this philosopher honored, just so that its glory isn't getting rid of its base stats. And they do want to keep this philosopher in play, so you're right. We probably will see 5 cards played and the fate moved off of this Earth Ring to the philosopher. We do see another duelist training come down, so we might see a duel on this Ibuki as well. Because Dragon is currently up 1 skill on this Ibuki. And with 3 duelist trainings now on this philosopher, they could keep dueling this Ibuki. So even if Scorpion bids 3 to bow this philosopher, there's still more duels, so you could continue to duel and bow this Ibuki. And with duelist training, even if you do bid to win, you can use cards instead of honor. So we do see High House of Light triggered, and that can be canceled by effective deception. Looks like it's not canceled, so the Tranquil Philosopher does get a fate move to it. I don't know why you don't at least try and duel the Ibuki there with all your uses of duelist training and get this break on effective deception, because you have 5 more uses of duelist training on that Philosopher. So even if one of them gets canceled by effective deception, yeah, the issue now is finding enough uses of the duelist training, especially with this dishonor token on the Philosopher, basically potatoing it. All 5 of its skills come from these attachments, the 2 katanas in the way of the dragon. And with 2 characters on the Scorpion side being unable to be dueled by military at all, not a lot of characters left to duel. We do see Scorpion goes ahead and passes their second conflict, though. So Dragon going to go ahead and attack in political with this Gaijutsu and Investigator into effective deception. And we're going to see an all-in defense here from Scorpion. So effective deception can cancel this Investigator since it wasn't used yet. So we do see the Investigator trigger. Did I miss effective deception actually get used? Because I think that's where I would have used it. We see backhanded compliment discarded here. So in hand, we see center, 2 earth becomes sky, goblin sneak, I can swim, imbued with shadows, scavenger, suffer the consequences, and way of the scorpion. So we see way of the scorpion used to dishonor this Gaijutsu. We see hawk tattoo placed on this tranquil philosopher to move them into the conflict, and then Gaijutsu will ready them. Will we see Earth become Sky? Or I guess the can't use that right now, right? That cost of fate still. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on either. Yeah, Earth becomes Sky, cost of fate, so Scorpion can't play that right now. We do see a duelist training to bow this Fortunist, but still, you're not going to be able to get through this Shoju and this Alibi Artist. So I guess maybe the Hawk Tattoo is just to ready this Philosopher um, to make sure Scorpion doesn't get favor here, because Philosopher will stay standing. We see Return the Offense played versus this Alibi Artist. So now this Alibi Artist is going to stay standing. Okay, there we go. We see Void Fist used to move Shoju home, and that's where effective deception gets used. And I don't know why I used that additional use of duelist training there. Can't draw any more cards from Proving Ground. All right, so Dragon claims the favor, but thanks to Shoju, can't have it. So we see Disciple of Shintai gets rid of this Way of the Dragon, and I believe there are only two in this deck. They didn't get favor from Return the Offense. They got it from Centipede Tattoo. So, yeah, so both Way of the Dragon's gone. Um, so we see Dispatch to Nowhere to get rid of this Investigator. And we see Master Alchemist purchased with Two Fate and Doom Shigenja purchased. And we see Master Whisperer come out with one on the Scorpion side. City of the Open Hand drops Dragon down to 5 honor and brings Scorpion up to 6. Alibi Artist will be used to trigger and draw a card, and so will Master Whisperer to allow Scorpion to filter what they're looking for. Yeah, Dispatch always shows up just when you need it. So we see Scavenger, Censure, and Earth become Sky discarded. Both players, of course, bid 1, and then Choji's going to cause both players to lose an honor and draw 2 more cards here. So Scorpion definitely has the card advantage now. And our honor totals are 5 to 4. And looks like we're thinking military air here. But Scorpion does have the fate for a display of power. And they did just look at a lot of cards. I believe we've only seen 2 displays. So they might have the third one. Oh, we've seen 2 displays. Um, so they might have the third one. So I don't know about going air here. And it does look like Dragon reconsiders and passes their conflict. All right, it looks like we're seeing Political Void at Sacred Sanctuary here. Yeah. Um, but Scorpion decides to pass their conflict as well. So no one wanting to make the first move here. Yeah, this deck is another example of why Display of Power needs to be at least restricted. So I played against a Phoenix the other day that didn't purchase anything on the first turn, and I had just a single character in play, and I was just like, Display of Power makes this a really dumb choice. Like, I have no option here because they were Keeper of Water. So even if no, they were Keeper of Air. So Water was my only choice as far as attacking that turn. Um, but I don't know. So we do see Tranquil used to move one of the Fate off of this Void Ring to the Air Ring, and then Dragon passes their conflict. So now it looks like we're going to see an all-out assault here politically from Scorpion at this Sacred Sanctuary. So this Master Alchemist is at least going to be able to honor this Tranquil Philosopher. And Scorpion does decide to leave the Master Whisperer at home. So let's see here. I imagine Doomed Gaijutsu and the Philosopher will defend here, leaving the Alchemist at home. And Philosopher gets targeted by Sacred Sanctuary, so won't bow at the end of this conflict. All right, so let's see what Dragon can do here. I think they still have one Void Fist left, because I believe we've lost one to a policy debate, and then one was played. So if they can get 2 cards and then send the Shoju home, they can duel this Ibuki and this Fortunist after honoring the Philosopher with Alchemist, but actually chooses to dishonor Shoju with the Alchemist. Any resources Dragon spends here is a win for Scorpion. Yeah. Um, all 3 Void Fists have been used, so there's no Void Fist for Dragon at all. I don't know about dishonoring Shoju there. So we see 4 Shame used to dishonor the Doom Shigenja, but we see Defend Your Honor come out versus Ibuki. So both players bid once, so 4 Shame will get canceled. We see this Fortunist was bowed due to one of these duelist trainings, and then Ibuki gets bowed due to another one of these duelist trainings. So I guess without having the Void Fist, dishonoring the Shoju does make sense, because that is the most stats out there to reduce. So we do see 4 Shame to bow Gaijutsu, and we see Defend Your Honor come out, and a bit of 2-1, which also turns on I Can Swim. And so now this Philosopher or Gaijutsu can go for a nice relaxing swim in the river. We see Hawk Tattoo used to ready Gaijutsu. So we see Policy Debate resetting the bid dials, turning off I Can Swim. And we see Suffer the Consequences discarded, but there is still another one in hand. This Imbued with Shadows can also remove this Dishonor token from Shoju. Yeah, so we do see court games used to honor Shoju. And so that is a Broken Sacred Sanctuary. So Scorpion currently up 2 breaks. Both players down to 5 honor. Yeah, Swim got turned off immediately by Policy Debate. So I don't know why you don't bid 2 on that Policy Debate, though, to keep I Can Swim on. So we do see Mitsu show up for Dragon. And so we see Season of War get played immediately by Scorpion. So Scorpion sees a dupe of Shoju, an illusionist, another Season of War in a storehouse, and Dragon sees an investigator, 2 Seasons of War, and a Cycle of Rebirth. So we see Investigator bot with 2, and then Illusionist bot with 1, as well as this dupe of Shoju used. We then see Season of War used by Scorpion, and there we see Yokuni and Mitsu show up, but no Fate to buy them for Scorpion. As well as a Proven Ground showing back up and a Gaijutsu. For Scorpion, we see a Disciple of Shinsei, a Keeper Initiate, and another Fortunist, as well as their 3rd Season of War. But they just go ahead and pass, and Dragon doesn't really have anything to buy here. So they're just going to use their Philosopher to gain a honor, which was the wrong time to do it because City of the Open Hand. We do see Cloud the Mind come down on this Shoju, though. So we do see Master Whisperer used to cycle 3 cards. We see Center, Bonsai, and Imbued with Shadows discarded. Oh yeah, I guess you would have still lost the duel and the swim then. No, a 2-1 would have tied policy debate because it was the Alibi Artist versus the Doom Shigenja, so that would have been a 4-4. So you don't lose the duel there. You tie the duel, and then you can still swim. Thought they should have gone Void, remove the Philosopher, and he's Dishonored. Yeah. So we see Shameful Display used to honor this Tranquil Philosopher and dishonor this Illusionist. So we see Goblin Snake played in to steal a Fate from Dragon. That was a bad time to use Shameful. Yeah. Getting that Philosopher honored, I can understand why they wanted to do that, especially with these duelist trainings on board. But we do see Miyako used to dishonor this Philosopher again. And then we see Hawk Tattoo used to ready the Master Alchemist. Yeah, Shoji's going to walk into it free ink there now. Everyone just passes through their conflicts, and Dragon claims the favor again. So Dragon down to 4 honor as this Philosopher leaves play. All right, so we see Mitsu bot with 2. And a dupe of Gaijutsu used for Dragon. So only 4 cards left in the Dynasty deck for Dragon and 7 left in their Conflict deck. 4 in the Dynasty deck for Scorpion and 5 in the Conflict deck. So time is getting really low for both of these players. I could see this losing on time or to Dishonor due to things reshuffling. So we see a military water conflict, Mitsu at effective deception, and we see Miyako defend, and we see Bonsai used, dropping Scorpion down to 4 honor. We see Pillow Book attached to Mitsu and then used to get another copy of Pillow Book from the top of their conflict deck. And then we see that Pillow Book used for a Hurricane Punch. Effective Deception does seem like a bad time for Mitsu. We see effective deception cancel this hurricane punch though. So we see let go to discard Pillow Book. And then High House of Light triggers to put another fate on Mitsu. And now Mitsu can trigger a ring here and uses the air to gain 2 honor. And didn't have any more military pump there. I think having 1 more military pump to bow this shoju would have been great with this water ring. So we see City of the Open Hand used to even the honor totals back to 5-5. Which Scorp can box. Scorp wins here. All right, so we see Investigator discard Backhanded Compliment. And Effective Deception breaks. So Shoju gets dishonored. And we're going to see Shoju and this Illusionist attack in. And it is Upholding Authority, and they're going Political Air. And it looks like we're going to see a full-on defense from Dragon. So Master Alchemist honors itself, bringing it to 5-5. And then the Illusionist discards the Dishonor token from Shoju. Edie was used to stop the Hurricane Punch, which would have allowed Mitsu to win the conflict. And that would have bowed Shoju because it was a water ring attack. So we see Upholding Authority is used to discard I Can Swim. And Scorpion, for the first time all game, claims favor. So we're going to see Earth becomes Sky, keep this Mitsu bowed probably. Or not. We see Season of War on both players' sides, which, if both players dishonor out at the same time, first player wins. And we see Tranquil Philosopher Purchased dishonoring out Dragon. And that is the game. So Scorpion wins here. That was very tight, very close game. So with that Season of War on both sides and Scorpion being first player there, there was just nothing Dragon could do there. So yeah, because this Season of War would have done it anyway. So very close game, very well played by both of these players. So that is England that wins that, and so I do believe that series will go to England. But thanks so much for turning into this World Cup game. It was quite a wild ride. But there are some LLO games going on today, I believe. Let me see if any of those are happening right now, and we'll get you over there.